Hi there, YouTube. Oh gosh. Today it's almost 4 o'clock in a couple of minutes here where I am. I just got to the club. I'm about to do a shift. Today is Sunday. I think today is the first day of daylight savings. So I didn't realize that it was going to be daylight savings until pretty much just last night. I kind of realized that when I was shortly before or around the time that I was trying to get to bed. I was on my laptop and I noticed the hour. Yeah, it seemed like it might have jumped forward and I was like, oh crap, is it already daylight savings already? And I Googled it and I guess turns out, yes, it is. So it's interesting timing with that for me, because up until just the past couple weeks, I had really been struggling with getting up on time to like squeeze in a video like this before my shifts. But very recently, I had also been trying to make time to go to the gym as well. You know, like kind of on my days off and sometimes before a shift here at the club. I'm pretty sure last Sunday I was able to get to the gym before I did a shift here at the club. And I was actually able to get 7 miles that time, which is pretty good for me. So I was finally starting to get up a little bit earlier than I normally had been for a while. And I was like, yay, yay, I'm able to finally get up earlier. And now it's daylight savings. So now that's kind of derailed a little bit. And now I'm back to getting up later. Yeah, I don't like daylight savings. I don't like it this time of year, and I don't like it the other time around fall or winter time. It just never seems to work out in my favor. Then again, not a whole lot really does, to be honest. So, but yes, I will try to look at the bright side. More daylight time here. I guess it's supposed to mean well, I guess it could be more daylight time for me as long as I'm just able to get up even earlier than I normally would. I just wish I could sleep at night. I don't understand why it's such an issue for me. I can understand it, you know, I can understand it a bit. Not feeling safe at night, you know, well, ever. I never feel safe, but especially at night, you know, nighttime is obviously feels like more of a threat and a safety concern than the daytime when there's some daylight to have, you know, so at least you can see things. But I wish I could just get over it mentally. Like I just try to force myself so much. I just try to force myself, like, just get over it. Just, you know, I barricade the door at the place that I sleep at. It really shouldn't be that much of an issue, I would think, at this point. Like, I wish I could just force myself to get over it, and I try and I try and I try. My body and my mind just will not let me sleep at night, and I don't want to take sleeping pills. I don't want to take anything artificial. I don't like stuff like that. I try to be a pretty like natural kind of, I just don't like to take stuff, you know, I just don't trust anything. I don't like artificial ingredients and stuff. I don't know, I just, plus the money, it's too expensive for me, you know, to buy anything like that. Yeah. It is pretty warm here today though, I will say that. So that's why I just took my other hoodie off. It's almost 60 degrees, it says in my car thermostat, and it does feel like that. It feels a lot less cold than it has been up until pretty recently. So between the weather and the daylight savings, it is starting to feel like spring is kind of around the corner, which is nice, you know. Yay. When I was getting ready to come out earlier today, normally it's so freezing in my apartment that it's just an excruciating kind of process for me. Whereas today, it really wasn't that bad. I have this process that I do where I strip bare, you know, no clothing. Safe, you know, wrap an electrical cord around it and try to lock it up and keep most of my stuff in, you know, like my clothes and my laptops and food and stuff like that. Um, so normally when I do that, it's about, like this past winter, it's been about 50 degrees in there when I was doing that. So for me to strip naked and stand in a cold linoleum floor like that was no good and very, very painful. Whereas, yeah, today when I was doing that, I didn't check the thermostat, but I just knew by feel that it was not nearly that cold. It was probably closer to 60 degrees, I would guess. Which in comparison to the 50, 60 degrees is like heaven, you know. A couple of years ago, when I first started to not have the heat on in that apartment, this has been my 4th year and my 4th winter without the heat on. But the first year, it was originally at around 60 degrees when the heat was first off for that first winter like that. And back then, I remember thinking that that was so cold. Back then, that used to be like just excruciating to me and practically unbearable. But then within the past couple years, I think the first 2 years, pretty much it was around 60. And then like out of the 4, it was like the first half was around 60, but then the latter half, so this year and last winter, it was closer to around 50 degrees, sometimes even slightly under that. So having experienced the 50 degrees different, you know, 50 degrees and that 10-degree difference, now at this point, even though 60 degrees used to feel so cold to me back then, now it feels practically warm. You know, it's like, it's just so much better than the 50 degrees. So yeah, when I was getting ready to come out earlier today, I really was hardly bothered by it at all, which is an interesting feeling after so many weeks and months of just unbearable pain with that, you know. So but I wasn't really able to get out to go to the gym today. I really wanted to try to squeeze in a shift at the gym before work today, but I just, with daylight savings especially, I just wasn't able to get up in time for that. And normally I would be starting, usually when I do a stream like this before my shift at the club, usually I like to try to start it earlier than this because technically the shift at work here at the club has already started. So yeah, normally I like to try to do a stream beforehand, but again, daylight savings is going to make that more of a challenge for me. Although yes, at least we have more daylight to work with, so that's an upside that I will try to focus on. So with that being said, this isn't going to be a very long stream today or a very long video. I really just wanted to still try to come on and say hi quickly, you know, just at least still do a video, you know, rather than not do one at all today. I just have a few little things to say, just kind of casual, just saying hi and just quick little updates. Nothing too exciting today. Not that a whole lot of what I normally say is that exciting anyways, to be honest, but I don't know, I guess. Well, let's see. I did 4 hours of spring cleaning back at the apartment that I stay at yesterday. So yeah, yesterday was Saturday. I did take the day off. I didn't go out. That was my only day of not going out last week. So yeah, I didn't go out to the club to work. I didn't go out to run errands. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't do a YouTube video. I just took the day off and stayed in. And with doing that, I was finally able to get around to tidying up a bit in the apartment that I've been staying at, which in large part because of how extremely excruciatingly cold it had been in that apartment for this past winter. It was pretty much a pigsty, to be honest. And yeah, a large part of that was just, it was so cold in there to the point where when I was there, all I really felt able to do was just huddle under the covers, and just have the covers pulled around me as tightly as I possibly could, like a lot of times over my head even, just trying to cover as much of my body as tightly as I could with the covers to try to at least have my own body heat fill that space in that area around the covers and underneath the covers. I really wasn't able to do a whole lot other than that, um, which is no way to exist. That's no way to have things be. But, you know, I've just been in a pretty tough spot for a while as far as not really having an income and not knowing how to get financial assistance, because I do technically have a savings, so I have been living off of that as best I can. So obviously I'm thankful to have the savings. However, I'm pretty sure with that being the case, I don't qualify for financial assistance. So it's, for a while, it's been this kind of situation of trying to limit my living expenses as much as I possibly can, to what ends up being, yeah, a pretty bad situation for me. Cutting corners in any way that I can think to try to do that, you know, really, really not good. um, anyway. Yeah, it's been, temperature-wise, it has finally been getting a little better in there lately, which is nice. So, the cleaning that I was doing the past, well, yesterday, mostly on Saturday. So yeah, yesterday, I did look at the clock. It was about 4 hours of that, and that place was a pigsty. Um, I don't buy trash bags because I don't want to spend the money on that. Again, trying to limit my expenses as much as I can. To dispose of the trash that I do have, I'll usually just I'll reuse like packaging from other stuff that I already have. So, you know, like when I buy packaged goods, I will try to reuse the wrappers from that as my like little, like smaller size trash bags. And also like little brown paper lunch bags that I use to pop popcorn in the microwave sometimes. I will try to, once they break a little bit at the bottom to where popcorn kernels could fall out, I try to reuse them or just basically use them as, you know, to put little things of trash in, and I just use that as my little trash bags. But yeah, so, but I had a whole bunch of just crap from the past few months that had accumulated, not like literal trash, but just wrappers and, I don't know, paper towels and just mostly packaging. Honestly, it was mostly like cardboard boxes that needed to be broken down. It was just clutter. It was just pretty messy. So I had a big industrial size trash bag that I had gotten from here at the club. I actually have one right here with me right now. So this one is supposed to be for my car because obviously, yes, I do have to clean out my car at some point as well. I've been meaning to do that for a while now, but just with how cold it's been, it's just not really that feasible of a thing for me to try to do in the winter because, yeah, in the winter, I'm just frantically trying to get out of the cold, or like into the least cold area that I can as quickly as possible. So now that the weather is finally getting a little better, I want to think that eventually, pretty soon, I'll hopefully be able to clean out my car as well. But yeah, every now and then here at the club, they'll leave out the boxes that have the big trash bags in them. So when I see those like within my reach and within my view, out back in the kitchen sometimes, I will try to make a point to grab one or two, or just, you know, a couple of them, just because, you know, I know that they'll come in handy, whether it be my car or the apartment that I stay at. So I used one of those for my spring cleaning back at the apartment. It ended up being, I did fill it to the top. It was bigger than me, you know, pretty much the same height as me. And it was interesting trying to lug that down to, you know, like outside to the area where we put the trash earlier today, because I have all these other big bags of mine that I carry around. So I mean, it was pretty heavy, but not nearly as heavy as the last time that I had done that. The last time that I had done that, I could barely even lift the thing. So this time it was still heavy, but not quite as bad as before. So I'm glad that I was able to get to do that. My last video was the day before yesterday, so Friday. After I did that video, I did end up going to the gym. I think I got just over a 5K, which isn't too great for me, but it's at least something, you know. After that, I went to the store. When I was at the grocery store, I was craving salmon. So a lot of times at that store that I usually get that from, there's this one guy that works there a lot, and he oftentimes will not be behind the counter even when he's like on shift. He'll be, I don't know, doing something else, I guess. So the salmon was not on sale this past Friday. I guess he said it is going to be on sale this week though, but I really just wanted some last week. I didn't want to wait. So I didn't see him at the counter. I didn't see anyone at the counter. So when that does happen, I'll usually go over to the next counter, like next to that one, like the meat department, and ask the person there if they can maybe find the guy that's supposed to be in the seafood department, or if maybe they can come like assist instead. But when I looked in the meat department, I didn't see anybody there either. So I guess I must have really wanted the salmon, because what I ended up doing is I ended up walking back behind the seafood department. I ended up like going behind the doors, like into like the back area where obviously customers aren't supposed to be, or they're not supposed to go back there. But I guess I was just feeling kind of froggy, and I just really wanted the salmon. So so I went back there and poked my head around a little bit, to see if I could find anybody, like an employee working back there. And I couldn't find anybody. So I went further back, like through the next set of doors, and I still couldn't find anybody. So I just kind of kept walking around back there, and I ended up going through into the next department on the other side. So the meat department was to the left. I didn't see anybody there either. So I ended up going through a bunch of doors to the other side, to the right, to whatever other department would have been on that side. I don't even know what department that would have been. It wasn't the bakery, because the bakery was further off to that side. The bakery was like, you know, further. And then, yeah, it obviously wasn't the meat department, because that was to the left. So whichever one was in the middle there, I don't even know which one that was, but eventually I just kept walking through doors until I finally found somebody back there. and at first, it actually took me a while to get their attention too, because I was kind of standing there and just like, I literally just kept saying, hello, 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 hello. I must have said hello between 5 and 10 times. I was standing there. It wasn't that noisy back there, but this guy, he didn't notice me or see me or hear me apparently for like at least a couple of minutes with me doing that. He was, I guess, just in his own little world. I don't think he had headphones on or anything like that, although maybe he might have. I didn't notice any. I don't think he had headphones, but I don't know. He was like messing about with a bunch of trays, like on one of those rack things for the trays. And I was just like, hello, hello, hello. And I really thought that he would have noticed me, but he didn't. I had to like really start to shout. And eventually he finally looks over and he's like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing? He's like, you're not supposed to be back here. And I was like, I'm sorry, I couldn't find, you know, the seafood guy. So he was like, all right, follow me and we'll go back out this way. So I don't know, I followed him like through this area further off to the side and went back out into the main department, the main area of the store where all the regular customers were. And he was like, let me go over to the meat department and see if I can find someone. And I was like, I already looked over there. But right after he started to walk over there, I looked to my left, or like further into the main area of the store, like more towards the aisles. And right at the front of, or like the entrance, I don't know, of one of the aisles, the ends of one of the aisles, well, actually it was like the start of one of the aisles. It was the area closest to us. Basically right at one of the aisles, there was the seafood guy and he was talking to this customer, like just having this, what seemed like a nice, like kind of casual, normal conversation. And I just was like thinking to myself, I was like, was that guy there the whole time? Like, did I just not see him when I first went back into the seafood, like behind in the seafood department, like behind all those doors? I was like, I wonder if he was there this whole time. And if I had just looked to my left, if I would have seen him. I have no idea, but he was just kind of there, you know, all of a sudden there he was, and he was having this conversation, and he didn't seem to notice any of this going on. You know, he was just not facing that direction. He was facing this lady that he was talking to. And the guy that ended up leading me out back into the main area of the store, he didn't seem to notice the seafood guy talking to her. He just kind of kept on going towards the meat department and found a guy back there. So when I looked back there, there was nobody, but I guess by that time there was. So he found the meat department guy, and he was like talking to him, and he was kind of like, he seemed kind of stressed out that I had been back there. He was like talking to the meat, and it was kind of funny to me because the meat department guy was older, and his expression when this other guy was like explaining what had happened to him was just like, he did not care at all. He was not interested, not impressed, like he just not concerned. He was like, okay, just go away basically. So then I was trying to tell this guy, I was like, no, wait, I found the seafood guy, he's right here, it's okay. But he didn't seem to notice. He was like just really intent on trying to explain the situation to the guy from the meat department. So anyways, I don't know. Eventually I was just like, it's okay, the seafood guy's right here. I got him. He got me this little piece of salmon. It was 0.15 of a pound. So not even a quarter pound, because it wasn't on sale. So I was like, I only like a certain part of the salmon anyways. So out of what was available that I could see, the piece that I like, there wasn't that much left of it. So, but I was like, it's fine, it's not on sale. But it was kind of like, you know, quite a bit of an effort to just get that 0.15 little piece of salmon. But it was good, you know. Anyway, not that exciting, but that was the rest of my day on Friday after doing that video earlier that day. And then last night was movie night on, I've talked about this adult website that I'm on. Well, I don't really go on there that much, or it's been like almost a year since I've been on there. Like, not been on there, but since I've streamed on there. I last streamed on there, I think it was June of last year. So yes, definitely a while ago. But that was just when I last streamed on there. Even though I haven't streamed on there in a while since then, I still do go on that website just to kind of like watch other people streaming. Particularly somebody that does movie nights on Saturday and Sunday night. So last night, the movie they were streaming was The Aristocats, which I thought was kind of cute. I hadn't seen that, in a while since I was a kid, and it kind of made me miss being a kid and not paying bills and all of that. I'm somebody that struggles so much with existence and just like everything. But I really do feel like most of that and most of me complaining about stuff, it really is just financially based for the most part. Although a lot of it is also existential. Just mental and emotional struggles that I have, I guess, kind of regardless and for other reasons too. But even though I have other reasons and other things that I do struggle with, maybe just on more of like an innate kind of level, just spiritually or just my own issues besides, I still do really strongly believe that the main issue that I have, the majority of why I struggle as much as I do, is for the most part financially based. Again, yes, I have other issues. Yes, I have other struggles, but the large majority of it is really just financial stuff, and it has been that way ever since I've been an adult. When I was a kid and a teenager, when I was growing up as a kid and a teenager, I still did struggle, but I think the main reasons I struggled back then was probably because of the relationship with my mother. And I guess, like, probably just the rest of my family in general. My family is very small. There really isn't much of it. I've never really known my biological dad. And my younger brother's dad, who kind of like adopted me and raised me, he was pretty good when I was a young child, but the older I got, the less interested and the less involved with me he seemed to want to be. So, yeah, but my relationship with my mother has always been very, very strange, difficult, strained. I do love her. She says that she loves me and that kind of thing, but we did fight a lot when I was growing up. She was very, very strict for the most part. She did buy me stuff, and I guess, actually, she almost kind of spoiled me in some ways as far as like buying me things, um, and that kind of stuff. But on a more emotional kind of level, she did have a temper, and she just seemed to get very easily upset with me, or really just kind of upset in general. But especially with me, I did kind of feel like I was walking on eggshells a lot around her and just always kind of trying not to upset her. But no matter what I did, it just seemed to upset her anyways, a lot of the times. So I think a lot of why I struggled, yeah, growing up was probably because of that, because of how difficult our relationship was. And, I really resented not feeling as though I had a whole lot of say or a whole lot of control over things. Like, my family did move around a lot. We moved around quite a few different times, and my younger brother and I never wanted to do that. And I don't think my mom did either. I think it was just my younger brother's dad that really was the one that was deciding to do that. And not because of necessity, I'm pretty sure. I don't think it was because we really had to. I think it was because he just got maybe stir crazy or bored where we were and just wanted to try new things. He's a Sagittarius, so Sagittarius are said to get bored easily and like adventure and like to just mix things up and try new things. So yeah, he just seemed to have that kind of personality that matched up with that, just wanting to try new stuff, wanting to mix stuff up. And Whereas, I always really just wanted to stay where we were and just have that sense of stability and security, which I never really felt like I had that much really, or not as much as I would have liked to have had. Um, so yeah, I think a lot of the main reasons I struggled growing up was because of that kind of thing, of just moving around a lot, not really feeling like my opinions with that mattered. The strange relationship with my mother as well, just with her usually seeming pretty mad at me or upset with me. Whereas, yeah, ever since I've been an adult, I think the main reasons I struggle so much are because of because that stuff still affects me and still kind of gets me feeling kind of down and depressed. But also mainly, yeah, ever since I've been an adult and on my own, it's been a financial thing for sure. Just a lot of really, really struggling financially, a lot. So, but if that weren't the case as much as it is, I feel like I really have a zest for life. Like when I was a kid, even though I did still struggle with stuff like I had just mentioned, like with my parents mostly, and also really just feeling like I hated being forced to go to school, like getting up early in the morning and having to go to bed early at night. I really, really couldn't stand being told what to do by my parents and by my teachers. Like, I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a say. Like, they were forcing me to do this stuff that I didn't want to do. But, even though I hated getting up early to go to school, the main reason I didn't like going to school was because of getting up early in the morning. And going to bed, having to go to bed early at night to be able to get up early in the morning like that. So even though I didn't like getting up early, or I hated having to get up early to go to school, once I was actually in school, I loved being around my friends. Like, I would have so much fun with my friends, and I would have so much fun just being social like that. I was very shy, and there were instances, maybe like brief periods of time where it did almost kind of feel like I maybe was kind of being bullied a little bit. But I wouldn't say that the bullying was ever really that extreme. There were a few instances, mostly when I was very young, like in kindergarten, where it did get pretty bad for a little bit there. But for the most part, as I was growing up, I wouldn't say that the bullying was that often or that extreme or as much of an issue to where it really affected me all that much. Um, yeah, I was shy. I did have, social anxiety and probably just anxiety in general. But regardless of all that, I would still have so much fun with my friends. Like, I just loved to laugh and I just loved to just play around and have fun and just be rambunctious and just be a kid. I mean, I loved to just have fun, and I feel like I still have that spirit within myself. Like, there are things about life and being alive and existing that I really do enjoy and that I love, and just I feel like I have the capacity to just really enjoy a lot of things and have so much fun and such an appetite for life. But the older I get, the more depressing it is, just in the sense where I feel like that's so held back and so hindered by my financial struggles. It really, ever since I've been an adult, and more so as time goes on and the older I get and the longer time I spend being an adult, it's like, it's just all I really feel like I have the time or the energy to do is just work and try to make money and stress out about not really doing very well with that. To stress out about money, stress out about bills, stress out about all the things that I have to try to do to, maintain some semblance of things being in order, my bills being paid, and despite me really not having an income, just, yeah, just stressing about money and stressing about all the stuff that I have to do as an adult. it does, you know, get me down. It does make me sad because I know that I still have that thing inside me, that quality to myself where I still have that zest for life. I still have that appetite for life and just enjoyment and fulfillment and wanting to have fun and wanting to do positive things and wanting to grow and wanting to, you know, build something positive, do positive things, help other people, improve myself, you know, just stuff like that. Like there's stuff that I really want to do, and there's stuff that I am still able to enjoy doing, like dancing on stage and stuff. And there's so many things that I'm pretty sure I really would be able to enjoy doing if I were able to do them. Like there's so many things in my head that I want to do. There's so many things where in theory I would love to try that. I would love to do that. You know, if only I had the time, if only I wasn't so stressed out financially, and if only I didn't feel so held back because of that, you know. But anyway, so yeah, let's see, I started this video shortly before 4. It's just after 4:30. I am gonna try to keep this on the shorter side today. The sky is clear and blue right now, and the sun is out, so this looks nice. It's a beautiful day here today. Something that I wanted to mention before I wrap this up, there is a YouTuber that I used to watch pretty often, that I used to really kind of look up to. I think technically she's a year younger than I am, or she was. I guess anybody out there that might have heard or seen Stephanie Buttermore here on YouTube, she was a fitness influencer, and I guess she died. I guess she passed away a couple of days ago on March 6th. So March 6th is actually, that was Friday, and Friday, that was the last time that I, obviously other than now, here today, this past Friday on March 6th, that was the last video that I had just done before this one. So thinking back now, I'm like, okay, well apparently they say that she died on Friday. Where was I on Friday? What was I doing on Friday? Oh crap, I was actually out at the gym and running some errands, and I was on my YouTube on Friday. That was the last video that I just did. And just thinking about that, you know, I was like, holy crap. So yeah, she was a fitness influencer, and kind of like into the bodybuilding kind of scene. Her videos focus a lot on health and fitness and the stuff that she liked to do at the gym, stuff like that. She apparently was somebody that seemed like she possibly struggled with her weight, and kind of like fluctuations with that, which I've always struggled with myself. So I think part of the reason I was so interested in watching her and her videos was because she was very open about that kind of thing. She talked a lot about it. And she also chronicled her journey with, you know, she did talk about and admit to possibly taking her dieting a little too far at times, to where she had lost her period at certain points. And she documented her journey that she went on some years ago, where she tried to just not diet as much anymore and just let her body kind of naturally respond to that, however it might have decided to do so. I think she called it her all-in journey, where she kind of just took a break from dieting for a while and lessened up on how much she was working out at the gym, I guess. She documented a lot of that through videos on her YouTube, and, you know, had like pictures, and she was very open about talking about that kind of thing. And, you know, yeah, for me, I'm somebody whose weight has gone up and down so many times throughout the years, especially with being in the kind of climate and environment where it's usually very, very cold most of the year. You know, my weight always seems to go up in the winter time and that kind of thing. But not only that, I mean, she was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, she was drop dead gorgeous, and apparently she was a doctor. I think she had like a PhD, and so very, very smart, apparently. Um, and like if you watch any of her videos, the girl had it going on. I mean, she had like a gorgeous, gorgeous house. I think she had like possibly multiple houses from what I could gather, or whichever one that she was showing the most on her YouTube was gorgeous and like practically a mansion, it looked like. I don't know. But she just seemed like somebody that had it all together, like really going on. Like, you know, the house, the hot boyfriend, all of her videos were very like well put together and edited, and yeah, she just seemed like she had it all. Like she had it all together, she had it all going on, and um they didn't, from what I've heard so far, I don't think they've released the cause of death. So I'm not too sure what might have happened there, but it's kind of a bummer. I mean, it's really a bummer, you know? I hadn't been watching her as much lately, but I mean, I would still from time to time go back because I don't think she had been posting as much the past couple years. I'm pretty sure she stopped posting as much back in like early 2024. So for the past couple years, I think that she maybe wasn't on social media as much, just from what I had been able to see of her. But I can remember from all the way back in 2014 when I first moved up to the area that I'm at now. When I first moved up, yeah, closer to the strip club that I work at, there was, I think she had, other than the channel, like the main channel she has now, or that she had with like her name, I think back in the day, she had another channel. The first channel that I really became familiar with her through was called Blogilates, and she, which to me was just iconic, like Blogilates, you know? And she had this mighty squat challenge. It was called Call Me Maybe. So you know the song Call Me Maybe? Call Me Maybe Mighty Squat Challenge. And I haven't done that for a while, but I'll try to look that up again later because I used to love doing that. And so that entire video, that entire squat challenge is, I think, barely over 3 minutes long. But I just remember anytime that I did it back in the day, just those 3 minutes approximately, just the 3 minutes of doing that would warm my body up, and like very well. And it felt like a very, very productive, like concentrated, well put together, well executed 3 minutes for like a very quick little workout, but very effective. Yeah, very quick, but very effective. And I would do that mighty squat challenge, the Call Me Maybe mighty squat challenge. I would do that many, many times. But even just doing it one time would feel like enough to warm myself up, you know, just to feel the effects, to where I was like, wow, that was quick, but it was very challenging. Like I still felt the burn. And I don't know, I thought she was just very talented. She was a very, very motivating, very talented, she seemed very driven. Just, you know, the list goes on. Just a very interesting, productive, positive person. And I was very inspired by her. I felt very motivated watching her. So to hear that she apparently has passed just a couple days ago, I was just really, you know, surprised and kind of just taken aback. Like you know, she just really seemed like she was somebody that had it all going on. And it's sad, you know, it's a bummer. You know, and what she did, I've always thought that what she did with documenting her all-in challenge was very, very brave. And also kind of iconic. You know, I can't really, at least off the top of my head, I can't really think of anybody else online that's had the guts to do something like that, you know, to be that open and that honest and show that much of themselves and their fitness journey through pictures and videos and the ups and downs that came along with that. Yeah, it was very inspiring to me, and it still is. And I would say that I feel like it has kind of helped me to feel slightly less alone and just the stuff that I've struggled with my, you know, body and dieting and trying to prioritize fitness as much as I do. I would say that I've taken dieting too far in the past. I had also had some issues with my menstrual cycle last summer. Last summer, I was exercising a lot more than I am currently, you know, like for the summertime and stuff. And even before that, at other points in the past, I had also occasionally at other various different times had some issues in that department, just I think probably related to the dieting. And I mean, I certainly wouldn't consider myself to be a fitness influencer. I really don't even go to the gym that much anymore, although yes, I was going more often, you know, at different points in the past, mostly last summer, but you know, other different time periods. But here at the club that I work at, me being a dancer, me being a stripper, I've talked quite a bit before about how my main motivation, my main thing with me being a stripper is pretty much just to get a workout. I've never really done very well here at the club financially or in that regard, but I've just always really been drawn to how good of a workout I feel like I'm able to get here, you know, going on the pole and going on stage and just the natural high, the natural endorphins, the adrenaline, you know, putting on a performance for other people that way. And I feel very thankful and blessed to at least be able to get that out of it and out of being here at the club. But yeah, I would say that maybe I have also taken that a little too far in the past, not on purpose, but just maybe pushing myself too hard, or especially with not really doing well here in other regards, like financially, or not really having regulars or customers that seem to be able to appreciate the effort that I put in here very much. Or the occasional time that might happen, it seems very touch and go, very brief and very kind of fleeting, to where, yeah, that might occasionally, very rarely happen one particular day or night or moment in time, but then it's like I never see them again most of the time. To where, yeah, I've just never really felt like I have regulars here or like a strong, steady support system or really any kind of support system, you know, it's just, yeah, anytime that I've felt like somebody actually is able to appreciate my performance here at the club, it's been very, very rare, very, very brief. To where it's like, okay, that's great in the moment, but then it just never really seems to happen again, or I never see them again. So I think just internalizing the frustration that comes with that for me, like just, I think that's probably caused me to additionally push myself, you know, a little bit maybe too hard sometimes, just to try to make up for that to myself. Like I gotta still get something out of doing this, you know what I mean? I gotta still, you know, and if I'm not good enough for any of the guys here, if I'm not good enough to get regulars, if I'm not good enough to get, you know, followers or support, like steady long-term support here at the club, then there's gotta be a reason for that, or there's got to be reasons for that, to where I'm just not trying hard enough. I'm just not pushing myself hard enough. Like, so I just got to try harder. I just got to like improve myself. I got to make myself better. You know, I got to just get in better shape. Or I try to have it be like personality too, like talk as far as talking to customers and like trying to make them feel good about themselves, or just, yeah, conversation, company. Um, but as time goes on, that just seems to get more and more difficult for me, because it's never really seemed to have much of a effect or impact as far as like improving the situation for me here with that at the club. Whereas with me focusing on the exercise aspect of things, and you know, with me focusing on the going on the stage and going on the pole, that's something that I have always felt able to make progress with and see results from, and get that level of satisfaction from, um, even if it's just ended up being mostly for myself, you know. But it is such a sense of accomplishment and just self-worth and just pride within myself, just to know for myself that I'm capable of doing those things. But again, even with that being said, I think I have maybe just inadvertently, certainly not on purpose, but just for whatever reasons, mistakenly taken that a bit too far in the past, to where it's actually had, it's also had some negative effects on my health, I would say. I think overall, and for the most part, I want to think that it's been a positive thing for me, as far as like fitness and trying to get in shape and just confidence, you know, showing myself what I'm capable of doing and that kind of thing. But yeah, the times that I have mistakenly maybe taken it too far in the past, I can see that how that might have affected my health in a negative way as well. Um, So it's like so many things in life. It's been a very delicate balance. It's been about really just trying to find that appropriate balance of, you know, still pushing myself and still challenging myself and still trying to, you know, do what I love to do here as far as being on stage and going on the pole and stuff, just without, you know, without allowing myself to maybe push myself too hard or take it too far, or just make sure I'm still trying to treat myself well. A lot of times it is really difficult for me to still try to remember to treat myself well when I don't really feel like I'm being treated very well by the world around me, you know? It's very, very difficult, especially this day and age with how expensive everything is, to try to get through life with hardly making an income, you know, with having so many financial struggles and just financial stress. Um, Trying this hard, as hard as I do, and pushing myself as hard as I do in so many different ways, in so many different areas, and still feeling that lack of success in a financial sense, you know. It really is difficult for me to just not take that out on myself in a negative way, to where I do end up pushing myself too hard, to where I end up, you know, maybe affecting myself and my health in a negative way. So as hard as it is, I try to treat myself well and use this dancing in a positive way for myself as best I can. But anyway, yeah, with Stephanie's story, and from what I've seen of it anyways, I feel like I really resonated with a lot of what she talked about struggling with, even though she seemed to be so kind of perfect and have it all going on and all together. I guess she still did struggle with stuff, and just her candidness and her openness about that kind of stuff was something that I really appreciated and, you know, appreciate still. And going forward, I will probably for a while. You know, I just have a lot of respect for that, and for how brave she was and how open and how honest she seemed to be with that kind of, you know, addressing the stuff that she did still struggle with, regardless of how successful she was, or seemed to be. So But yeah, I mean, even watching her videos now, I did go back and watch a couple of them last night, and she just came across as such a positive, inspiring, motivating person. So I just wanted to mention that and just wish her friends and family well, and my thoughts go out to them, and to her, and just, it's really sad news to hear about. I feel like she was a pretty iconic person on YouTube. So yeah, I just, I'm gonna try to take what I saw of her and what I learned from her and her videos and her channel, going forward, just try to apply them in as positive a way as I can for myself and my own life, I guess. But anyway. Not really too sure how to eloquently try to wrap that up or conclude that subject, but yeah, I'm really sad to hear about that, and I don't know, it's just a bummer. Anyway, but today is a beautiful day, and the sky is still clear and blue. The sun is out. It's just about to be 5 o'clock, which means I think that this video should be just about an hour. So I'm going to wrap this video up for now and get into the club and just go try to be as positive as I can be and just try to do my best here tonight. You know, just try my best, I guess. Oh God, there's a guy that just walked by and I saw him walk in earlier, and I'll be honest, I hope that he's walking by now. Oh man, I do struggle here. I really do. I love being on stage. I love being on the pole. I love dancing, but wow. God. Oh God. It looks like I have some comments to get to. I saw when I logged onto my YouTube app earlier before starting the stream, it said that I had like 13 notifications. So that's more than I usually have, and I wonder if that's like correct or accurate. But so I, really just wanted to get the stream started, and try to like not let it be too long, because I did start this stream later than I normally would today with daylight savings and all that. So I haven't really had a chance to get to any of those comments yet. But I'm definitely going to try to get to them at some point later today or later tonight here at the club if I can. So that's always something that I look forward to with my channel. I love getting comments. I love, responding to them when I'm able to, and just, oh, he's leaving. Okay. And that kind of thing. I always enjoy that and look forward to it. And so hopefully I'll be able to get back to some of those comments later, and try to reply to as many as I can. And I am, again, it's probably going to be, it was a struggle before with the lack of daylight, and now with daylight savings, the daylight's probably going to be better, but again, it is forward an hour, so it's going to be probably a struggle with me time-wise with that, with the losing an hour kind of thing, me getting up on time and that kind of thing. But I am still probably going to try to come on tomorrow, before my shift here at the club tomorrow if I can. I definitely hope that I'm able to do that. I'm certainly going to try for it. But yeah, sooner than later, as I like to say, I will try to be coming back on. So I hope you guys are well, and thank you for watching. Peace out for now. Ooh, ooh, that's the rubber band. Okay. Oh, that's the rubber band too. Okay, let's just, oh, there it goes. All right. 10 viewers, 62 minutes, and 2 minutes until 5 o'clock. Oh, 11:11. 11 views, 11 likes. Cool. All right. I'm gonna sign off for now. Bye for now, guys. You know what? It's almost 5 o'clock. I want to sign off at 5 o'clock on the dot. So let's see. It's such a beautiful day out here today. It is. A sunny Sunday. I mean, it's almost 60 degrees. This is warm. This is absolutely warm. Especially in comparison to like almost all of the time up until now, the past few months, like, you know, winter and stuff. This is like spring. This is spring. This is amazing. This is definitely spring vibes, spring weather. I have not seen a squirrel, however. Where are the squirrels at? Well, I certainly hope I'll be seeing some squirrels sometime soon. Because yes, that makes me smile. 5 o'clock on the dot. Okay. Bye for now, guys. Till next time.